Alright, well, it's time for a water pump on the Dodge. The O'Reilly's one lasted for maybe about 30,000 miles. I'm assuming. Not a whole lot. Show you what it looks like. I made about a 45-minute drive last week. And got to my destination, which was at a customer's place, and saw something dripping from under the truck on the passenger side, so I went to investigate, and it was coolant, a little bit of coolant and oil mixed together. See if you can see it. If you watch it, you may not can see it in the video. But the water pump is wobbling. Let me kick this high idle off and see if it makes it a little bit easier to see. So I get to look forward to doing that. Yeah, now you can really see it wobbling. So all I could do at the time was just hope that he got me home and didn't do like last time and throw the belt. Because with the exhaust brake on there, it's not the OEM belt for it. And it can be kind of hard to find. So that's one of the things I get to look forward to doing. I'm estimating the O'Reilly's belt lasted about, the O'Reilly's water pump lasted about 30,000 miles. Maybe 2 years. Not long enough. Usually I don't have any problems out of stuff like that, but this time I did. This time, I decided I wasn't messing around. So I went and got the bulletproof diesel water pump. Ordered it from Diesel Power Products. I was in a bind. I needed the truck. But hey, what can I say? So I wish that you could hold this thing in your hand if you were skeptical about it, because this thing is heavy, but it is built. I mean, the billet aluminum fins, the impeller on it, the billet aluminum mounting flange, the pulley itself, the whole thing just feels so much more solid than those cheap O'Reillys. And, you can get them suckers for 60 bucks. But how often are you replacing them? And what does it do to you when it's down? You're going to have a tow bill, probably. Buy a belt, probably. So, we're going to try this sucker. It's got good reviews. A lot of people like it. And give y'all a video on installing it. These trucks take not even a couple hours to do. I'm gonna pull it up in my shop, and I estimate that I'll have that done in, I don't know, hour and a half. It's not hard. I guess I shouldn't have closed the hood on it. But you saw the location of it. It's right there. Access it from the top. I've done it a couple of times before. No big deal. The easiest thing to do is get under there, pop the bolts on the fan shroud loose. I use a 1/2-inch torque wrench, leverage the tensioner pulley out, put a pair of locking pliers on the sway bar to hold the torque wrench. Get your belt where it doesn't have tension on it, pop these two nuts right here, pull this fan shroud back again on the top side. Get a light. There's two 10mm bolts on it. Pop those two 10mm bolts. You can run the belt around it. Pop those two 10mm bolts. Pull the water pump out. Make sure the face is nice and clean. You'll lose a little bit of coolant, but you shouldn't lose that much if you're quick with it. And because you have what's in the block and you have what's at the top of the radiator, so it's really, you shouldn't lose a whole lot. Pick up a couple of gallons just in case. Make sure the face is nice and clean. Slap it back in there. 2 10mm bolts back. Put your fan shroud back. Top off the coolant. You're good to go. Really not that bad. In all honesty. I hate this fan shroud. It's always messed up. So, that's that. But I noticed at the customer's property, I was parked in the parking lot and there was oil dripping down over here on this side. And I got to looking around and noticed that that's strange. There's no oil coming from anywhere. I was very concerned when I thought it was oil. And then I got to looking some more and went, that's coolant too. So apparently the water pump is slinging coolant all throughout, and I got these little bits of engine oil hanging around up here, and it was mixing with them, and the rest is history. So, just got done replacing injectors, and now I get to do a water pump. Yay. I noticed on the trip over there, though, that my temp was running up to 200 degrees, and normally it's around 180, so I was like, that's a little bit strange. And then I found the water pump was failing. It's like, oh, that explains it. So anyway, we're gonna get that done. Okay, compadres, time to do the water pump. A rainy day. Of course, the truck's dripping wet. Gotta take it as it comes. Don't mind the shop. It's a little bit of a wreck right now. Haven't had time to clean it. Water pump on these things is pretty easy. There's about 4 tools you're going to need. You're going to need a 10mm socket and a ratchet, a 1/2-inch drive. I use a torque wrench, but something long, preferably that ratchets. A pair of locking clamps or locking pliers. This is going to be real quick and easy, hopefully. Alright, so I go ahead and get a light turned on. The water pump is right there. That's it. It's going to be pretty easy. So let me grab my pair of locking pliers and my 1/2-inch torque wrench. I'll show you how to take tension off the belt. So this is how I personally take tension off the belt. I go ahead and take the nuts off the fan shroud down here. I'm fairly certain those are 10mm. I don't know. I've been using a pair of regular pliers on them for quite a while. Well, hopefully y'all can get a good perspective on this. Lay my phone on my chest. Take your 1/2-inch ratchet, torque wrench, whatever you want to use. Get it up there on that tensioner pulley. It's a 1/2-inch square hole. So it should go. Yeah, there it goes. Ratchet it. Well, get it up on there first. Ratchet as far over as you can get it. Now this is the hard part. Pull that sucker as far over as you can. It usually stops when it reaches that fan shroud bolt mount. Take your locking pliers. Get a better grip on it. Sometimes I have to turn around. I'm sure this is a horrible video, but turn around and put my foot on the bumper or something. That way I can keep. There he goes. Now, that's how I do it. Locking clamp on the sway bar. That'll hold the tension off of your belt. You can see all this is coolant and oil mixed together because I've got oil and everything on the block down here. And that's mixing with the coolant that's coming out of the water pump. And that's how I knew that the water pump was bad. Fortunately, I can get up. I caught it before it actually went out. Threw a belt and ruined everything. So fortunately that happened. Now, let me get up here. We can take these nuts off the fan shroud on the top. Once again, I've been using a pair of pliers on mine for quite a while. I don't tighten them down very tight because you can't get a ratchet on them because the fan shroud itself is in the way right here. So I just get them tight enough to hold the fan shroud up, and I call it good. Now I highly recommend doing this with the engine cold, obviously, because you're going to be opening up the coolant system, and if your coolant is hot, that's a recipe for injury. I just cranked the truck just now and pulled it around by the shop, killed it to open the door to the shop and everything, and then cranked it back up to bring it in the shop. Fold that fan shroud out of the way. There's our water pump right there. There is, if you can see, there's a 10 mil. Go focus. There's a 10 mil there and one on the other side. Take this belt, kind of pull it up out of the way here. Try not to lose the routing of it, or you can lose your religion trying to remember how this belt routes. Just kind of hang it up right there, get it out of the way. Actually, I think I'm going to take it and bring it around here too. It's even better. Alright, I'm going to get a 10 mil socket and ratchet and an extension, and we'll pop that bad boy loose. Alright, so I just got them broke loose. I wound up having to take the extension off because it was making it where it wouldn't come off straight. Put the light back down in there, or maybe y'all can see something. They're broke loose. Run my hand down in here. You gotta kind of fight around the fan to do it. So that part's a little bit of a pain. Loosen them up. I got my extension on the socket now, so I can do this by hand a little bit easier. Takes a little bit of dexterity to do it, and it's kind of an uncomfortable position, but hey, could be worse. Could be on a Duramax. Heard horror stories changing water pumps on those. So I'll take this one any day. Alright, there's one bolt. Stick it up there on the lovely shelf that Dodge made for us to work on our trucks. Looks like this one tightened up a little bit because I pulled the other one loose. This top one right here, the way that it's angled, it's right up against the fan pulley. So the socket the extension helps because it gets the body of your ratchet away from the pulley. Got it broke loose again finally. I mean, I wouldn't say that I would do these, like, I wouldn't enjoy doing 15 of these a day, but if you do have to do one, it's really not that bad. I think it takes about an hour to do it all around. Alright, second bolt's out. See if we can get this sucker to pop. Definitely slacking that pulley. Break the suction on it, jeez. Gotta break the suction on it to get it to pull out. But if you can get it to pop, it should come on out. Let me set this up somewhere else. I'm gonna pause this for a second. So I have to admit, I'm a little bit of an idiot. It didn't have suction on it holding it in. I realized that the bolt that I pulled on the top was not actually the top bolt on the water pump. It was a bolt on the crankcase. Or not the crankcase, the timing cover. So I got that going for me. I'm an idiot. Anyway, the pump is out. This is the long bolt that goes in the hole that I pulled it out of. That's why it wouldn't come out, is because I still had a bolt in it. And fishing around under here, they're right next to each other, and I thought that I had the right bolt. So, as it turns out, I'm just an idiot, y'all. Check your bolt, make sure you pull the right one out if it's not falling out on its own. It's like, it shouldn't be this hard to get this thing to break free. I was trying to pry it out and all kinds of stuff. Couldn't get it to go. I mean, now my hands are all covered in antifreeze, and something about antifreeze that's just very slick. Yeah, water pump's out. Let me get this bolt put back in here before I forget it. But you're gonna lose some coolant when you do this. Not a ton, but it is gonna go everywhere. I didn't put a bucket down underneath, so yay. It's all over my shop floor. And you can see where it's been rubbing the fins on the pump against the housing. That's great for your internals to have metal shavings in there. And it's, let's see if I can show you all the play in it. Might not can see it. There it is. I'll spin it this way. You barely see the play in it. That's an O'Reilly's OEM style. Ooh, listen to it. Y'all can hear that. That's an O'Reilly's OEM style water pump. The actual OEM ones now, the Cummins brand, have plastic impellers. This is the new bulletproof diesel water pump that I have. You can see it. The bearing's a lot tighter in it. I just wish that you could hold this thing like I am, because it's so heavy, but in a good way. It's well built. This is the difference. It's got more blades on it, more impeller blades. It's a crazy difference. Crazy difference. So let's get the new one put in there. And then we can top the coolant off and fire it up. So putting it in is reverse process. You literally just find where your bottom is. This is on the bottom. Flip it over. I know I didn't show y'all taking it out. It's not that hard. You get it to where it'll fit down between the fan blades on the cooling fan. Make sure the face on that housing is clean. I already checked it a second ago, and that just slips right in there just like that. Look at that. So clean. Stick a bolt in it in the right hole this time. Where am I at? Having to go by braille here. There it is. I got that one started. This next one's gonna be a little bit more difficult. Can't tell if that's started or not, but we're gonna see. Take the extension off the ratchet. Run that down in there, and man, my hands are slippery. You're only gonna lose as much water as in the radiator to that point. And you're honestly, actually no, I take that back. You're only gonna lose as much water as in the block right there, because the thermostat is going to keep it from taking the radiator down. I forgot about that. If your thermostat's not open, it's going to block water. This is your thermostat housing right here, and it's going to block water from passing through. Tighten this bad boy up. Put our belt on. Top off the coolant. Probably gonna have to crank it. Actually, I can top it off on the radiator right here, maybe. But like I said, I may have to let it warm up and suck some coolant down. I think on this bottom one, I'm gonna wind up having to take this extension off. If I can get down in there. Alright. Bolts are tight. I just snug them up. Work this belt back around here where it goes. See what all it's come loose from. Goes around the alternator, goes up over the top of this idler pulley, goes around the vacuum pump, then it goes around the power steering pump, goes around the water pump right here between the idler pulley and the alternator. Oops, fell off the alternator. This is always the worst part, in my opinion. Just trying to get this stupid belt routed back around where it goes, because there's always just enough tension in it to where it makes it hard to get it to go where it's supposed to, but always just enough slack to where it wants to fall off of where it's supposed to be. So, get it back around the AC pulley and I'll check the bottom when I'm down there. Put tension back on it. Okay, that all looks good. Pop this fan shroud back out. Kind of collapses, so it's not that bad. It needs to go back where it goes. Put the nuts back on the fan shroud. I put the bolt back in the timing gear cover. For the record, I loosened the correct bolt the first time. It's just when I went to take it out, I put my wrench on the wrong one, and well, I put my socket on the wrong one, and then like, well dang, I guess it tightened back up, and that's when I loosened up the wrong one. Nut back on this fan shroud again. Tighten them up. Oh, I hate these things so much because they're just in the most inconvenient spot. I'm struggling here. Good enough. This one's a little bit easier. Good enough. Regular pliers. Some of the best things in the world right there. Make sure that fan. Oh, I got a torque wrench down there still. That's why. So, man, it's not spinning. So there's a torque wrench jammed in it on the bottom. Okay, set these tools off to the side here. Check the level in the radiator. Yeah, we can add some in the radiator. That's where we'll top it off. Excuse me. Go put tension back on the belt. So as you figured, this is reverse process. First, check and make sure that your belt is where it goes on the bottom stuff, bottom pulleys and everything. Try not to drop stuff in your eye in the process. Yeah, power steering, air compressor, they're all where they go. It's a little wet, but it'll be alright. Put my foot on the bumper over here, release my locking clamps, and then I can work that off of there. I used to do this without taking the fan shroud loose, but that is such a pain. And then finally I just realized, you idiot, if you just take the fan shroud loose, it makes it a lot easier to do this. Tighten these nuts up down here. I'm sure this is a great camera angle right here. Absolutely wonderful. Sitting on my stomach. And I'm breathing hard too, so I'm probably getting a lot of noise. Like I said, you're going to lose coolant. If you do it outside, I'm not going to tell anybody. If you do it in your shop, you may want to put a bucket under it. It's just, honestly, it's so hard to catch it all in a bucket. And if my shop were cleaner, it'd be a lot easier to put oil dry down, because it's running all down the low spots in the shop, which is really frustrating. Let's put some coolant in it. Use that old water pump. Take it off of there before I forget it. Yep, the bearings in that thing were starting to go out. Let me grab a jug of coolant. This is concentrate. So we'll see how much this gets me and if I'm going to wind up having to put some water in it. Let's open this jug up. If I can bust it. I use O'Reilly's green. This is yellow. It's supposed to be green. I guess not. That's what I normally use. This is yellow. Oh well. One thing I hate about filming with my phone is I just don't have any great places to set it up to video it. I'm gonna put some coolant in it. I know I must have already been low because of the water pump going out and leaking. Because I just put like probably 2.5 gallons in it. I need it to belch. Let's fire it up. Probably gonna have to get up the temperature and open the thermostat up and belch out. But let's see. See if we can churn some water through this puppy. Belt is gonna squeal because it's all wet. It'll take it a minute for the water temp to come up enough to open the thermostat. But pretty much what you need to know is what we've been over. So, you're going to lose coolant. Make sure you got some extra coolant. Do it with the engine cold or cool. Don't try to do this with the engine hot. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to need a 10 mil socket and ratchet. I use 3/8 on that, and then a little 3-inch or 4-inch extension is helpful. Locking pliers, a 1/2 inch. You know, I use a torque wrench because it's got a long handle. You can use a breakover bar. The torque wrench is just nice because it ratchets and you can get it at a far enough angle back that when you pull it down, that you can lock it in. And then the nuts on the fan shroud, I think are actually going to wind up being 13 mil. They're a little bit bigger than 10 mil. Pull your fan shroud back. Take the tension off your belt. Go up top. Pull the fan shroud back. 10 mil socket. Pull your water pump out. Make sure the face is clean where the gasket goes. And then pull the water pump out. It's easiest to do it from the top. I tried to do it from the bottom one time. Forget that. Do it from the top. Pull it out the top. Go back in with your new one. After you make sure the face is clean, fold it back down and reverse operations. And top off your coolant. I just did mine on the radiator. I'll let it belch and then I'll wind up topping it off again. And I'll carry some water or something with me the first time I drive it in case it runs up. I'll have something with me if I didn't get it quite topped off again. Yeah, check it for leaks. Make sure it's not leaking. If it's leaking, pull it back off and check the gasket. Make sure the gasket's good. And then that's about it. Not that hard. Not that hard at all. So y'all be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hopefully this bulletproof diesel water pump will last longer than 20 or 30,000 miles. The O'Reilly ones are cheap, but they're cheap. And that one I may throw it on the shelf if I'm ever on the side of the road and it blows out. I can put that one on there just to get me home, but I'm glad I replaced it because it was already, the bearing was already so bad in it, it was shaving the fins off on it. So I wish these trucks had a coolant filter on them, but they don't. Overall, I'd say this takes about an hour and a half. I didn't really pay attention to what time I started, but it's not that long of a project, and you can easily do it yourself. And a shop is gonna charge you probably 4 hours of labor, and they're gonna be over $100 an hour on labor. So you're gonna be $400 in labor probably, plus the parts. Whereas I just bought a very expensive upgraded water pump and got out for less than I would have paid a shop to do it. I did it myself. And I got an upgraded water pump out of it. So, like I said, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.